Chad, what made you decide to go to the hearing this morning?
I was planning on going to the trial for several days, had that taken place, and then I heard about the plea agreement a couple weeks ago, and I knew that this was kind of my chance to show support for the families, but it's also a case that I've been following since it happened in 2022. Just such a crazy, multi-layered murder case with these innocent kids, and I just didn't want to miss out on today. It was a heavy day. I got to be honest with you. It was a heavy day.
Right, just watching it, you could sense such a powerful, or no, I don't know if powerful is the word, just very emotional hearing in there. What was it like being in the courtroom?
So they ended up seating us, and it ended up being in the same courtroom where Lori Vallow and Chad Daybell's trials were located, but they sat us over on the far left side is where I ended up, and I was the row right behind Bryan Kohberger's parents and his sister. So I walk in and I'm sitting right behind them, and then Bryan walks in. He ends up being 8 to 10 feet in front of where I'm sitting, so I'm kind of looking at his right profile. He whispers, he kind of mouths "I love you" to his mom when he walks in, and he kind of does that quick grin where if you've been watching some of these meetings that he's had in court, where he'll kind of do this really quick grin and then go into a serious face. So he did that and kind of mouthed that to her, and then he sat down, and his mom was sobbing. I would say probably half the time, and you really had to feel for her. And then having everybody that got up. I think when Dylan got up, Dylan Mortensen got up, the surviving roommate. Bethany, I don't think was in court, but she had her friend Emily read her statement. But
Right.
when Dylan got up, the whole room, it was just so heavy. And we
Mm.
had these two University of Idaho students that were sitting right behind us. And we had gotten to know them in the several hours leading up to going into court today, but they were both sobbing, the whole time. And I was too, to be honest with you. I mean, it was hard not to. It was a really, really somber day.
You mentioned so his mom and sister and dad were there in court, but right, kind
Absolutely.
of there on the defense side.
Yes. Yeah, his dad was kind of right in front of me, and then his sister was in the middle, and his mom was just to the right of her.
And we, based on just watching it, never saw him really show any sort of emotion or any sort of look other than deadpan. Was he like that the whole time, like during the breaks, before, after? Did you see him try to engage with his family at all, or his attorneys, or anybody?
So he did the mouthing "I love you" to his mom, and it was really quiet, and you really had to kind of pay attention in order to see it because it was really fast. And then right at the end, after the sentencing came down, he looked at his sister and he said, "I'll see you later." Just really quickly. But he was kind of, I've described this even just in the last couple hours to a few people. He really doesn't. I really don't think he has a lot of empathy. I really think he lacks empathy. Obviously, he has that tendency, and he's kind of swiveling in his chair, kind of like a little kid would, while these people are saying these really heavy, serious things to him. Kind of rebuking him, and he's just sort of like got this just stone cold look on his face, and he's kind of swiveling from side to side. And it didn't seem like an uncomfortable swivel. It was kind of just like an unfazed swivel in his chair, is kind of the way that I read it.
Mm.
But yeah, he didn't show not a lot of emotion. It's certainly no tears. Judge Hippler at one point teared up just a little bit.
Yeah.
And I think it was during Dylan's statement, if I remember right.
And then during Olivia
Oh,
Gonsalves's statement, my goodness, and Steve, I mean, they turned that podium to look directly at him.
absolutely. So I absolutely love the Gonsalves family. If you follow this case since it happened, I just love how outspoken they are. I don't have a strong feeling on the death penalty one way or another, but I do think if there's a poster child for the death penalty, it's probably Bryan Kohberger. So I was a little bit disappointed when the plea deal came down, and I know that that's the way the Gonsalves family has felt. But when, yeah, Steve got up there, he grabbed the podium firmly. He shifted it a full 45 degrees and just looks right at Bryan, and just is just kind of staring at him during his whole statement. And that's kind of what I expected, but it was even more forceful than I expected. And then Olivia and even Christy's statement was fantastic too. She
Right.
was a little edgy with a few things, but Olivia certainly let him have it. More so than anybody else the entire day, I think.
And I found that each of the statements, I mean, they were all obviously different, but each of them kind of brought to light a different aspect about who these people were. I mean, the grandmother and the stepfather and even the attorneys reading the statements, it really kind of painted a picture for these four students, or at least the three. I know Ethan Chapin didn't have any family members there. What was the environment like, Chad, outside the courtroom? I imagine you had to get there pretty early.
Yes, there was a lot of lead up to it. Got there kind of pretty late last night, about 9:30 p.m. People were already lining up at that point. The It wasn't a bailiff, but a representative of the court came out probably about 10 p.m. and said, We can't have you on lining up on the property until about 4 a.m." So at that point, there were 25 to 30 people, I would say, that shifted across the street to leave the property of the court. And then across the street, we sort of lined up over there. But you're talking about from like 10 p.m. to 4 a.m. and then shifting back over on the side of the court by 4 a.m. And then the line kind of doubled at that point.
I'm
Um,
imagining everybody didn't get in.
no, I would say of the people in line, I 20%, if that, 20% of the people in line. It
Wow.
wound all the way around to the side of the building where you couldn't even see the back half of the line.
Oh my.
But
Wow.
yeah, it was tight to get in there, and I know even a lot of news people didn't make it in. Most of the correspondents, the national correspondents, kind of had a placeholder and they kind of got in. But yeah, there were a lot of folks that didn't get in that wanted to.
Right. Well, Chad, I appreciate you chatting with me. Is there anything that you want to add?
No, just other than, I've been to quite a few days of court in my life, and particularly in the last few years and following these cases, and nothing has felt like today. It blew me away in a way that I've not necessarily a good way, but in a way where you really feel for these families. You were able to just feel it, and it's hard to even describe. But I was glad that I was there. If anything, to show support and then to know just a small percentage of what they're maybe feeling.